listening to the Secure AF podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Secure AF podcast. I'm joined here with Tanner and Hickman. My name is Will, and we are back not so freshly from Vegas, where we went to DEF CON 33. So this is our debrief episode. So just kind of roll things over and get things started. So Tanner, what was your thoughts on DEF CON this year?
So it's the second year since the venue change, and I've been there, I think it's my fifth year or something, going in a row. And the venue last year was pretty rough figuring out where everybody was, because previously it was at Caesars Forum. It was spread across a couple different casinos. And it was, you kind of had the places that everybody congregated. You kind of knew where to go. Last year was really awkward because people didn't really know where to go. So it was almost like it was hard to run into people if you weren't in the convention center, just passing people in a hallway. But this year it seems like people are starting to figure it out. So it was definitely, I think people are getting the hang of the new venue change. And there's some good things about the venue too. All of the talks you can pretty much make it to, where previously you would have a 35, 40-minute walk going from one casino to past another one, like through another one to another one, to get to a talk. Like if you wanted to go to one in, say, like Red Team Village, and you were over at a main stage talk, you couldn't make it before. So that doesn't seem to be a thing anymore, which is really cool. So I think people are starting to figure out the venue and kind of come down to it. I haven't heard the attendee count, but it didn't seem as packed as last year either.
Yeah. Hickman, I'll have you jump in on that.
Oh yeah. I kind of echo Tanner's sentiments there. Like this is my first time at the venue because I didn't go last year, so it'll be my second year going. The first time I went was at the Caesars Forum. But yeah, it's kind of nice that everything was all in one place, easily navigable. It was good. Kind of typical DEF CON for me, just a whole bunch of people all over the place doing all kinds of things.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So this is your second year at that venue. This was your first year at that venue. Mm-hmm. This was my first DEF CON period. So I'm very new to all of this, and it was wild. It's interesting because what you were saying about how everything seemed to be organized way better because of the venue itself. Things were a lot closer. I had the expectations of like, oh man, it's going to be insane. There's going to be, 40,000 people and it's going to be wild. And, there's 8-hour lines just to buy a t-shirt. And I got this in like 5 minutes. And, registration takes like, it could be 3 hours, like even if you pre-register to get through the line.
They finally have registration figured out.
Yeah.
I would say like when we went there that Thursday, I think it was a Thursday or Friday morning, we went and got our badge.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday morning. Me and Kimmett, we just walked right in.
Same.
It wasn't even 5 minutes. So at least the line con for registration was gone, but the line con for merch was still there. So I think, what day did you stand in line to get your shirt?
So I actually waited, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to get my size because of this, but I didn't get merch until I think it was Saturday.
That's probably why.
Yeah. So there was barely any line. And I was surprised that I was able to get a couple of shirts in my size.
Yes, because when me and Kimmett were walking around there that first day before, I think it was most of Thursday when they were opening up merch, like the line was like 3 hours long. It was wrapped pretty much around the convention center to get in for merch. Yeah. So, but I'm not into that. I'm not going to stand in line, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, except for the fact I peeked in and I was like, this looks pretty easy. So,
yeah. If there's not a huge line, well, it's not going to hurt to go ask. I do like that this year. I don't know if it has differed other years other than the first year. They had most of their merch listed in Hacker Tracker.
Yeah.
So you can pull up Hacker Tracker and go look at the merch that was even there. which was pretty cool. So you could take a look and be like, do I even want to stand in line for any of this?
Right.
Yeah, the team behind Hacker Tracker is awesome.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
doing really good.
absolutely.
You've got them set up for SecCon now.
Yeah, and yeah, so speaking of that, I'm just going to do a quick pitch for that. So now that we're past DEF CON, so Oklahoma City, September 12th, we are hosting our conference, SecCon at Metro Tech. Tickets are on sale right now. You can go to seccon.com, seccon.com. We've got some great speakers lined up. All right, so now let's get back to the DEF CON talk.
Be there or be square.
You could do both. You could be there and be square.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you have compliance people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. We actually have, so it's fun because with SecCon,
Compliance.
oh, we're still in SecCon. Okay, yeah. So with SecCon this year, we actually have, we've got our speaker list. We had so many submissions, we were able to plot this in a way to where now we have a conference room that is entirely dedicated to Red Team, and Tanner's going to open it up the day in there. And then we've got another room that is dedicated to Blue Team, and Hickman's going to be speaking in there. And then we've got another room that we've kind of labeled as our purple, but really is not really purple. It's actually more of like the legalistics and compliance, and so one of our other engineers, Andrew Peters, will be speaking there at the end of the day. So
Hickman, you did the CTF for Compliance Village at DEF CON, right?
You did.
That
It actually wasn't really policy
Yeah.
related at all. It was still fun. It revolved around gaining access to a server and finding a way to add your account to the server. And then once you had your account to the server, you had to do knocks onto a stateless server to actually get your access to the data there. So it wasn't really policy related, but it was a fun CTF.
Yeah.
So me, poor Kemet, I got started on it because I wanted to do a CTF, and Kemet jumped in on it, and then it turned into, hey dude, this talk is in like 10 minutes, and he's just hammered away at this. Like, you can go to the talk, it's cool. And he was just down the rabbit hole with me on it. He's like, no, we're gonna figure this out. So, but it was a fun CTF. There was the guy who created it was pretty. I think he's friends with one of the head people in the head policy at DEF CON, and he just kind of helped. So, but that got Kimmett's brain going. He's like, we can have an actual policy related CTF. And so, like, I think that night, like, he's just, he hit the hotel early. Well, we went and hung out, and he was just sitting in the hotel room, just hammering away at a policy CTF.
Yeah.
And I got in, I don't know. He's like, hey, look at this. So, we could do this. So it was fun. Again, policy's kind of tough because, like, people just aren't interested in policy. Like, I get it. Like, it can be very boring, but for the most part, like, we're surrounded. I find it interesting because we're surrounded by policy every day of our life. Whether you have policies within your family or policies at the company you work for or just policies of society, there's policies everywhere. So I find it interesting.
yeah, very good.
You got accepted as an artist.
Yeah. So that was actually pretty exciting. So no one knows this here because you guys don't even know me, but so I, as a hobby, I create music, and buddy of mine,
Music.
alternative punk rock. It's kind of
Okay.
funny because I considered what we're working on. It's me and another guy. He sings vocals and writes lyrics, and then I do the guitars, drums, bass, everything else. And I feel like it has kind of a very 90s nostalgic, like alternative sound, like early Radiohead. However, we've released one song on Spotify as a single, and Spotify's algorithm does the thing where it creates like a radio station based upon a song or something. And it's all like old 70s and 80s new wave and punk rock on there. And I was like, I didn't think this would fit, but I actually listened to it all together. It's like, it
Maybe.
tracks. Yeah. So anyway, I got to DEF CON. We got to DEF CON, and the soundtrack was released Thursday morning. And I'm just on my phone. All right, let's see. Let's scroll, and it was on the soundtrack. And I was very shocked because it is a punk rock song, and the lyrics are not related to the hacker culture at all. And the other 32 songs on the soundtrack, it's DEF CON 33, so there's 33 songs. it was all techno house music, all like hacker culture and stuff. And I was like, I am indeed the black sheep in this room.
And then this song.
Yeah,
Wild.
yeah. It was great. So I met a lot of the people relating to the music at DEF CON. Big shout out to DJ Dead, who was amazing. I met up with him and turned out that sent me an email. And I didn't receive the email, so he was able to get me this artist badge that you see up here. And so yeah, forged some really great friendships and some relationships through that.
That's
So
cool, dude.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
And you also did the Vishing CTF, which was kind of our one of the main reason, I guess, why you were going. Well, I mean, amongst others, but yeah. So you got accepted to compete in that. And
Yeah.
that was your first time not only competing, but even seeing it. So you basically went in blind.
Very blind, yeah, and we did pretty well. So I definitely feel like we could definitely be top 3, if not take it next year, just because now like I've seen it, I know what it all entails. I basically was like thrown into doing like the OSINT report and coming up with the pretexts and finding the spoof numbers and the target numbers and everything with a little bit of guidance, but I think it was kind of like a baptism by fire, being thrown in the sea. Like, okay, now can Will figure this out? And so it was really a great experience. Met a lot of the judges from there, a lot of the other contestants. We won't go into details on this because this is you cannot take video, you cannot record audio while you're in there, because there is actually like information related to actual companies. But it was a great experience sitting in there watching that. There's a big soundproof booth, kind of like this, padded with our colors, purple tiles on the walls. And but basically you have a team of up to 2 people. You go inside the soundproof room. There's a live audience of 200 so people watching you, and the line was insane. So we had little wristbands because we were part of it. So we were able to just go in and out of the room. But there were times where I would look and that line would be 600 people deep, just going around the corner and continually going and going and going. People waiting in line for hours just to go in to see a little bit of this competition and watch some of these live calls.
Yeah, because that competition went both days, didn't it?
Yeah, so they had ours was on Friday, and so Friday was where you had the teams going in to do like the Vishing calls. And so we were doing the SEC VC, the Vishing competition. And so you had live calls going on throughout the entire day. And so you get into the booth, and you basically they've loaded all your phone numbers and everything through a really easy switchboard that you can go through. And so you're on camera and the audience is watching you on big screens. And then the audio from inside the booth is being played on speakers to the audience watching.
Right.
But now you can't hear the audience. They've got it soundproof so that way it doesn't interfere with the calls. But you have 22 minutes to make as many calls as you possibly can, to try and get as much of the information that you were detailing in your OSINT report validated, as much of that as possible. And then they score points based on the complexity of what you're asking.
Right.
So there'd be questions on there, for instance, like, talk about normal things like people do in Vishing calls, where it's like trying to figure out like, hey, what operating system are you using? What browser are you using? What firewall do you have set up? And then things like, what do the employee badges look like? So you can like figure out how to like replicate that. So a lot of like principal security type stuff, physical security, as well as like internal stuff. But yeah, that was really exciting. The coolest part, so now Saturday, I went in there to watch a little bit more. And on Saturday, they had the AI bot challenge.
I heard about that. I didn't see it.
It was wild. And let me tell you, for all of you people who are worried about AI taking your jobs, the robots aren't ready yet. So,
well, I think that they had a lot of technical issues on most of the calls, and whenever they didn't, they were very successful. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like they did better than a lot of the individuals whenever it connected with the bot correctly. The bot didn't act up and scream or do something.
When the bot didn't act up, yeah.
Yeah, but whenever
Yeah, very emotional.
whenever they didn't have technical issues, it seemed like it was pretty effective.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think probably the reason for that is because with the bot, you don't have the anxiety of a live person getting nervous about asking things,
Yeah.
and you can hear that in the inflection of someone's voice. But to the point about the bots going crazy, so it was very much like a Westworld type scenario where they kind of turned at times. I heard a couple of the bot agents that had definitely an emotional like roller coaster of personality where they would be real sweet and asking nicely, and then immediately be like, when they get a little bit of like flack, they would be like, "Why don't you just give me what I want?" There goes the badge. And then there was one specifically that started to feel a little bit physical threatening. The bot was the voice sounded like the person probably weighed 350 and most of that was pure muscle.
It reminded me of Marcellus Wallace from Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was exactly like Marcellus. Yeah, yeah. And he was like basically called like a retail store and was talking to one of the employees, and it was like the cashier or someone that answered. And he was like, "I'm in charge of security for this company." And the person cut him off and they were like, "Do you want to talk to my manager about this?" And there was like a delay with the bot. There was like a 4 or 5 second delay. And then he's like, "Nah, dog, it's all good." And he just rolled back into his pitch without stopping. And he was like, "We're going to have the president come over and he's visiting some stores. And if things aren't up to order, well, we're going to have a little problem. You know what I mean?" And it was like that direct, like, whoa. So immediately you saw one of the judges fly up out of the chair, run over to there, and they cut the call and they were like posting the little thing in the window, like, "Hey," because of the intimidation tactics and stuff like fear and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, let's not do that. So.
I thought it was really funny. There was one of them that couldn't seem to control the volume of its voice, and it would, "Hey, how are you?" "Hey!" Just scream at them, and everybody would hang up. They'd be like, "What the heck is that?"
Oh man, yeah. The AI, the AI is not ready. It's getting close, but it's not ready.
Calls ever good, we're good.
Yeah. So speaking of AI, let's turn the conversation a little bit over to some of the villages that we visited and kind of some thoughts in there. So on that kind of veering on that same edge with the AI. One of the villages I went to that was interesting was the AI village. And we have been experimenting and talking a little bit here with deep fake and like
Sure.
doing some deep fake technology here at Alias. And so I was talking with another company there about this, and it was very interesting. So they had a quiz that you could sit down at the computer and it would flash 25 images, and you just basically click and point. It's like, fake or real. And you had like 25 a mixture of still images and video. And I was on a roll at first because I felt like, hey, I know this, I can sense this. You go with kind of like how you feel, go with like your gut instinct. But then it was like I hit like a snag, and then it was like 15 in a row where I was just like toast. So it's interesting, that aspect with like AI, and the deep fake and seeing how they are progressing with that.
Yeah, just how real things are getting for sure. I mean, we've seen that a lot. I again talked about stuff that we're looking at doing is the deep fake vishing things. I think there's a lot of interesting avenues for that, especially when you're talking about like targeted vishing, if you're whaling, things like that. Yeah, it's just getting better. I didn't get to attend any of the AI stuff, but
Yeah.
I heard they had some good talks there too.
Yeah. So what other villages did either of you attend? I know you spent a lot of time in policy. What were you seeing that you?
I mean, I always really enjoy the demo labs.
Yeah.
I like to see new tools, updates to tools, stuff like that. The guys from Rapid7 were there. They did some Metasploit updates, and I feel like they're really bringing Metasploit back into relevancy, which is kind of, I don't know, I hate to say it's not relevant, but it hasn't been a tool that I really use much for years. It's something that I'll pull out every once in a while when I find specific things, but I largely go pen test without ever opening it. But now they've got it to where like doing any kind of ADCS attacks, they've got it really easy. So it'll be a lot easier than using Certify or Certify. So I'm looking forward to using that on some upcoming pen tests here in a week or two. They've got a lot of more Active Directory functions that'll be really nice because we still spend a lot of time attacking AD. It looks like they're starting to build some intra M365 type of functions into it too, which
That's
is
cool.
like that's the way things are
Yeah,
going.
that's where things are
That's
going now.
where things are going. So you have to. So it's cool. They're updating all that. The new Empire, they added some really cool stuff too. They polished it up a lot. It looks like a paid product now, pretty much, if you're using Starkiller. So that's command and control server, and I've not had great luck with Empire previously, but it's encouraged me to kind of revisit it and see what I can do. Not that it's not a good tool. I just have a really hard time getting it past EER and obfuscating the payloads. So it just gets caught on everything for me. So I might revisit it, and they added some more customization that can help it to be a little stealthy. And so that'll be cool. Definitely be trying some of that. Hung out in FiSec Village a little bit. They've got some, which Physical Security Village. They've got some decent talks this year. Yeah, I'm kind of just all over the place. I didn't really hang out in one place too long. I was, running around everywhere and seeing what was going on.
Yeah, I felt you and I crisscrossed a lot, which is kind of fun to do at a conference when there's like tens of thousands of people and you keep kind of running into each other. So there was some really cool villages that I kind of walked through, just kind of taking in a little bit. The aerospace village was really neat, and they had a CTF there where it was like an airport like defense where they had people at, and it was cool too because they brought in like airline chairs from like a plane and set them up at like the stations, and people were running basically a simulator where they were trying to defend an airport from a cyber attack. Um, and then yeah, the voting village was a really interesting one too. So there was a lot of, I was like, what's going on here? I walk in, there's like a whole bunch of different types of voting machines, and so talking with the gentleman, I can't remember his name, but the gentleman that was running that, it was interesting because it was like he was talking about how like they are that group that runs that village is brought out to testify before Congress a lot. When it comes to like, there's a lot of talk about election fraud and rigging elections and different things. And so kind of their mission, their goal is to look at how they can make these machines better, to defend better. So that way, the process is a lot more valid. And, they have these people, the manufacturers who make these machines who are like upset because they're like basically showing, here's these exploits. We need to fix these. And that's kind of how it always goes. It's like with penetration testing, it's like, here's your exploits. We need to fix these.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't make it into Voting Village this year, but previous years, it's funny. I remember there was all this controversy, and they were saying, "Oh, these machines they're not even networked. It couldn't possibly be hacked." And I remember seeing those same machines in Voting Village. I'm like, it has an RJ45 on it. Like you tear it apart, it's like it has a Wi-Fi card. What do you mean this isn't networked? This really has network capabilities. So it's interesting to kind of like see hands-on, like, oh no, that was a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
Like some of the crazy stuff on that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the coolest things. I'm not really involved with it too much, but it is one of the coolest things that they have there. Is they like, hey, we have a room full of torn down voting machines. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maritime Village is super cool this year. It's always pretty cool, but they have they brought in a full boat. I mean, they had a giant boat that was people were just hacking on, and they had a big shipping container that people were like trying to hack a crane for, and they had some other console stuff that I think they've had last year. They got all kinds of crazy stuff there that you'd normally never get your hands on.
Yeah. I really wanted to go to the aerospace village, but didn't have time. Did either of you guys get to check it out?
Yeah. So I walked through there a little bit, and it was neat. It was pretty neat. I didn't understand a lot of what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So just FYI, I'm marketing. So I came in this with the aspect of like
And social engineering.
Yes, yeah. So but yeah, when it comes to like the more technical side of things, I'm learning. So
Right. I think we're all learning, man. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I go to Policy Village and I spend a lot of time there because I feel like I learn the most there. And I'm a blue teamer. I even went to a blue team village for a little bit, and it's kind of, I don't know if it was just because it was the time that I went or there wasn't a whole lot going on. There was already a CTF that had started for the blue team, just doing defensive things, and
Yeah, the SOC CTF one.
Yeah.
That's one of the big ones at DEF CON. I've heard a lot of good things about
Yeah.
that. Every time I talk to people who do it,
they
they
might have to try to do it next year then.
Yeah, you got to get a team together. I want to say it's like 6 people or something like
I think
that.
that'd probably be our biggest problem is getting the
Find enough people who have the bandwidth
who
to do it.
want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it's a pretty cool CTF from everything I've heard of years
Yeah.
prior. I didn't hear anything about it this year, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but there were I think I don't know, Blue Team Village was smaller than it was than the first year I was here, or if it was just the convention center was different, but I kind of laugh. It's like, talking about whenever it was at Caesar's Forum, and there were things that were spread out, and it took, time to walk to one place or the other. And even as busy as Caesar's Forum was, it felt like it was, to your point, less busy this year
Mhm.
in those villages. So, like, I know Red Team Village is always a super popular
Yep.
one. And so, like, I think 2 years ago when it was at the Flamingo,
Yeah.
that whole area for Red Team Village was packed with people.
Yep. Also, Flamingo had, due to like fire code and stuff, they had smaller capacity on
Right.
rooms, and they were really strict about that. So it was pretty hard to get into a lot of the rooms. I know there were a few years where I didn't get into Red Team Village at all as a red teamer, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I think that part is definitely better. There's still, of course, lines whenever you're queuing up for a talk that's about to start,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
I just
Especially like the
normal.
ones that are kind of high profile talks or whatever.
I just show up when they start and hope that there's room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were lines to get into talks of policy too.
Yeah.
So like you have certain high profile figures or people that are coming in to talk, and they'll get a crowd of people. So
I know there was the one I was looking for you and Kemet, and you were in there in a talk, and I snuck in, and it was like
I laughing at you. You were just like,
I was
there
trying.
was no need to.
I was trying so hard not to be seen. I was trying not to. But I was like, this room is so packed full of people, and everyone's looking at me.
The funny thing about that is that you were trying so hard not to be seen by doing things that made you stick out more than had you just walked in. You were ducked down cartoonishly, okay? And you were like low crawling. You were just ducked down, squatted down, like as low as you could be, and
Almost
walked up
pulled
to us. I can't. What did you think?
The SAOs. I was pretty. Yeah.
And you
I almost did
whispered
the
to 'em.
contra roll. You know.
Like everyone is staring at you, and you had you just like walked in and been like, "Here you go."
Yeah. Just in and out. Yeah. Yeah.
You're like,
not-
why is this guy? Why is this cartoon criminal walking into this talk right
He's wearing a turtleneck and a block hat.
So it makes me worry a little bit. Well, not worry, but I'm a little bit more self-conscious now that you mentioned that, because I also left the talk in the same fashion, thinking I would just sneak out. So
no, you made yourself so much. You drew so much attention to yourself by trying to be sneaky.
yeah.
Sorry, dude.
So, but okay. So now we're talking about talks. So I saw a couple of really good talks. The first one I went to, it was funny because there's again marketing. There was a talk about marketing analytics, and I was like, oh, this sounds like me. This is perfect. I'm probably going to learn something from this. And so I went into the talk, and this is a moment where the imposter syndrome of like being around hackers but being just a marketing guy, like suddenly I started realizing, oh no, it's not imposter. I am actually one of you guys, but like in a different way. Because I sat in the talk, and I kid you not, the guy comes out and he's like, you know what these marketing people do? They take cookies off of websites, and they can look and see what you're Googling, and then they send ads to you with what you're looking at. And I'm like, oh, I feel seen. I am social engineering as a marketer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because it was like, here's this whole room of people, and they're like, whoa, this is something that happens. And I'm like, this is 101.
Yeah.
So for once, I felt like I belong.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. I don't know, get into this, like, being a network engineer by trade, I didn't come into this field with, like, any real knowledge of what cybersecurity was, going to DEF CON for the first time was pretty eye-opening. Like, it kinda helped with that imposter syndrome for me, at least, with, like, "Hey, I kinda know what I'm doing here," like, I can understand these topics, you
Yeah.
know? I sometimes I feel like, "Oh, I would do things this way instead." Yeah, I don't know. Once you get into it and you start learning it and you realize, like, man, it's really not as scary as you might think it would be.
Right.
For the most part, it's just like any other technology. The risks are just higher.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of talks, so what did you guys,
I didn't actually get to catch a whole bunch of talks.
yeah.
I did a really fun tabletop in policy. That was it was scenario based where we got to do a geopolitical event that was pretty fun. Um, it involved like Meshtastic, the mesh nodes to create secure channels of communications during different phases. Like one phase, the internet gets knocked out. You've got to figure out how to talk to
Yeah.
your representative who's, out of the United Nations and get secure communication. So that was pretty fun and in depth. We unfortunately,
Fun.
yeah, we didn't get to finish it just because we ran out of time and there were a lot more people than they anticipated. But one of the talks that was pretty good in policy that I remember was it was a panel discussion, um, uh, specifically discussing bug bounty stuff and how like one individual was like a government official from like a Department of Health, and then they had like a guy who was a founder of one of the bounty programs out there, and then they had another. I think someone from CISA that was there on the panel. I don't remember specifically, but they just kind of discussed like, all the struggles and red tape and, boundaries and, issues that they face while wanting to utilize things like the bug bounty program for like government infrastructure,
Yeah.
versus like what they're allowed to do. And so they're trying to open up, the bug bounty stuff and get budgetary stuff for that and clear red tape so that they can utilize people who want to be ethical hackers, and go
Yeah.
find these bugs. And oh yeah, the other guy that was in the panel was one of the guys who I think he was from Arkansas maybe, but he was kind of like the top of the bug bounty. Like this was a guy that would just go find bugs for fun, kind of thing. So, but he wanted to do it ethically, and he wanted, to be able to report on bugs that he found and not get in trouble for it. He wanted to be a value add to, the government or whatever agency or corporation, that was out there instead of,
Yeah.
hey, I found this bug, you guys should fix this, and then get slapped with a cease and desist or a lawsuit over something like that. And so that was a really good conversation. I think um, conversations surrounding the bug bounty programs and different policies with that is really moving in a positive direction, because I think it opens up avenues for people who want to be ethical hackers and white hat hackers to actually um, prosper. Not just like, hey, you can do this for fun, but like you could do this for a job if you're good enough.
Right.
And I would highly recommend anyone looking into getting into the red team stuff to utilize stuff like that. You know, go practice, go find bugs. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. I think that's actually very important right now as a topic of conversation in this moment of time too. So kind of in connection with that, I was talking to some people from DARPA while I was there in the infrastructure village, and they were talking about all the different ways that infrastructure is weakened, and there's like the defenses that need to be pulled up for that. And I was bringing up like Lake Rexford in
Yeah.
Norway, where I believe, my personal opinion, that was a proof of concept a couple of months ago, where somebody went in, they hacked in, they got through with a weak password into this dam, and they raised the pressure of the valves up to like 500 liters per second, and like the maximum's 25,000. There's no reason they couldn't have pumped it all the way to 25,000, but they pumped it up to 500, which felt like they were trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
And now, on the date that we're recording this episode, yesterday, the FBI put out a release talking about Russian hackers targeting infrastructure.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's a very important topic in this.
Yeah,
moment.
and stuff like that, you never know. That could be posturing.
Mm.
It could have been a threat actor just sending a message. Who is that threat actor? A nation state? Who knows? But it's definitely someone gaining access and making changes. So,
Right.
and again, yeah, if you have a bug bounty program, or you have a team that can help and go shore up those loose ends, I think it'd be far more beneficial for the nation rather than worrying about red tape. And again, that was the great thing about the discussion, is like, how much red tape is actually involved. It's wild. I mean, even from looking at it from a governmental perspective, like if you thought it's just worse than you imagine on the red tape side of things, like
Yeah.
the hands are tied so much towards what they're even allowed to do, or what they're allowed to even spend the money on. So, but again, it was a very good talk, and we are trending in a positive direction, I
Yeah.
would say.
Very good. 10 are talks that you went to. So what stood out to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I was saying, the demo lab stuff is kind of my
Yeah.
that's where I find the most stuff. I'll say, as kind of a more senior security person, like, risk of sounding a little arrogant, but a lot of the stuff that I want to go to is actually a little more basic. So I'll go to some talks from, like, okay, this would be fantastic for me to hear 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a fair bit of that. Not that the talks aren't good, but I don't know that I'm the audience for some of those talks. And then I'll go to some other talks that are so crazily in depth that there is 2 people in the audience that know what's going on, and
Right.
everybody else is glazed over
Yeah.
because it's some hyper niche thing that's really, really in depth. And and not to say those aren't good either, but I mean, it's yeah. So I
It'll-
find myself in a weird place.
Yeah,
so-
I would say that, like, I'm not a red teamer. I'm not a hacker. Like, I find that stuff interesting, and I want to know about it just for knowing how to protect against certain things, but a lot of that stuff, ends up going over my head anyways. I don't know. I should probably go to more of the red team talks for sure. As a blue teamer, I think everyone should.
It's where the fun is.
It is where the fun is. That's where all the people are.
Mhm.
And that is where I realized that DEF CON has this, like, cosplay culture. Maybe cosplay is not, like, the word for it, but it's almost like the hacker culture. Like, there's a bunch of people who are there, not really because they know anything about it, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool topic.
I
There
did see a
there
lot
are
of steampunk,
culture
though, too.
there are culture people there
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
There are people who are just there for, like, the culture side of things. But to be clear, hacker, it's not a cybersecurity conference.
Right.
Right. It is a grassroots hacker conference. No, it's losing a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's where you've got the hardware hacking people. And a lot of the times that stuff has absolutely nothing to do with cybersecurity. Sometimes it
Right.
does. But it's still, that's some of the stuff I think is the coolest.
The hardware.
Like
hacking.
I know a little, like, but I mean, I know very basics, but like some of those guys, they just blow my mind with stuff. And like, that's some of the coolest things that I like to see. Or you've just got, different people tinkering with different stuff and just hacking on different things, making crazy programs and doing weird stuff. And that's kind of really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about grabbing something and doing a research project on it, even if it's not really cybersecurity related.
Right.
We went to one of our friends' helicopters, DC. He did a talk. I think it was his second or third talk he's done at DEF CON. He focuses on a lot of FAA kind of flight regulation stuff. His talk was about essentially how easy it would be for somebody to impersonate an air traffic controller to cause a problem. And it was fantastic.
It was
talk.
wild.
It was terrifying, you know?
Yeah.
And like that's what I love. He is
Yeah.
a audio video guy. He's an audio engineer.
Yeah.
And he can still come up and do hacker talks because I mean he picked his research project, he did all the digging in, he found scary stuff, he did a proof of concept where he had cloned a voice, and he's like, okay, so we only recorded them for 30 seconds, then we take that 30-second, we clone the voice, we make it say this, and he's got a diagram of a runway, and he's like, okay, this would cause a crash if we did this.
Yeah.
Like that's very plausible. And
Right.
and then he starts talking about ways people could broadcast to do this. He's like, well, there's all these apartments that have balconies facing these airports.
Yeah.
And like just different things. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I guess in my mind, I'm aware that could happen, but I didn't realize, how easy and how scary that could be and things like
Right.
that. And so a lot of that stuff is what I feel like DEF CON's all about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I would say, my first year was 2 years ago, so, that was what, DEF CON 31. So it had already been, what it is now. I don't think it's changed much in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of wish, I think it'd be cool to kind of get back to some of those first DEF CONs and see how they really were.
Yeah. Like you're talking about a lot of DARPA and a lot of government people, and like that was not cool. No, that didn't
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not into that. There was a game called Spot the Fed,
Yeah.
which I guess isn't a thing anymore. I haven't heard about Spot the Fed in a few
I
years.
think people were getting upset about it.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot
equipment
that they're running villages.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of feds in Policy Village.
Well, it was interesting. I at one of the after hours networking events, I will call it, I had a guy that actually had a press badge. I was like, oh, hey, press. I was like, because you warned me about this, because I was looking at going as a member of press to record for doing this, for doing the podcast and writing blog articles and stuff. And you were like, no, don't do that because people are less likely to talk to you. So I asked the guy, I was like, how are people treating you? He's like, they could treat me better.
Yeah, and that's they used to not allow press in at all.
Right.
And then people would sneak in as press and they would get kicked out. It was a big controversy, and they said, okay, we'll do press badges. So if you know that press is trying to talk to you. And so it wasn't really like a special press badge. It was a way to stigmatize the press.
Yeah.
Where, okay, not to talk to that guy. He's got a green badge or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So it's changing for sure. Or it already has changed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's still a good conference. All those people who are, the grassroots hacker people are mostly still there. There's a lot of other people who are, more corporate kind of cybersecurity type of folks. And that's fine too. I'm in a weird spot personally where, I've been into the hacker world pretty much my whole life, starting off way young, phone freaking and stuff like that. And moved into it as a career. So I'm kind of on both sides of it. So, I see it both ways. I mean, there's things that are beneficial for my career, but I would still be going if I wasn't doing this job and still be
Right.
hacking on stuff and having fun. So
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll try to go again next year.
I would say for people who are thinking about going, just go. Don't be afraid. A lot of people are afraid of going and, oh, what if people hack me? And, oh, I got to bring a burner phone, a burner laptop, and all these things. And the only thing you should worry about bringing is comfortable shoes.
For sure.
Lots of water.
Yeah.
Lots of water. You're going to walk a lot.
Yeah, bring an empty bottle
Yeah.
to refill. Like Tanner said, comfortable shoes. I cleared 45 miles.
Make sure you are bringing the bare necessities in your backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pack
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, there's but nobody's really gonna drop an ODay on your fully patched iPhone.
No.
Like you can be smart, turn off Bluetooth, turn off Wi-Fi, whatever.
No, I left everything on this year just to. I got some people trying to.
BLE spam.
Yeah.
So,
I got
yeah.
Bluetooth spam.
Which
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
I just turn it off.
yeah. I think that people should not be afraid to go. It's not a bunch of malicious people that are out to hack you. If somebody has a 0-day RCE for an iPhone is over $1 million bug bounty. Nobody's burning that on you to mess with you at DEF CON.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. So I think have your senses about you. Be aware if you're on a Wi-Fi and somebody's SSL stripping, you're not using a VPN or something like that, which I would not recommend necessarily doing, but you're gonna get an alert on your browser. It's gonna tell you, like, it's I don't know. There's a lot of security things that are built in for a lot of the easy stuff.
Yeah, and there's guys out there. I mean,
and even then, most of the people at DEF CON are just messing with you. They're seeing what they can do. People who are there trying to steal stuff, they're probably not going to DEF CON to try to do that.
Yeah.
They're probably going to some crypto convention to try to do that.
Right.
I'd be more worried about my security at somewhere like that.
Right. For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't malicious. I mean, it's like, I felt like definitely there is a very strong sense of community at DEF CON. So that was the one big thing that I really took from it was like, everyone was super friendly. It was like I'd had all these going in as a noob. I'd heard all these stories about, oh, it's insane and it's so dangerous and the goons and all this stuff. And it was like, I met a lot of the goons there, Grifter and DJ Dead and Chris AM, some other people. All of the goons that I ever ran into were so nice and approachable, and they just wanted to make sure that you're having a good time, you're finding what you need, you're safe. And all the people that I ran into in the hallway and would just get into conversations with, a really great way of making friends at DEF CON, as in we all do this. We bring packs of stickers with us. So we have our stickers that we produce here that we brought, and we're giving them away, and people were loving it. And people really engage you in conversation, and they want to trade. So it's like you're swapping stuff. But everyone was so friendly, and it felt like a fraternity. For real.
I think part of the goon thing was, I think the venue change was probably a lot less of a headache for them. And maybe there was less people there. Maybe it's just a bigger venue. So maybe it feels like there's not as many people there from 2 years ago. But Caesar's Forum was packed.
Yeah.
All the time. You were person to person from the time you got in there until the time you left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Las Vegas Convention Center was not like that. So, I mean, I just think they have more room. So,
yeah,
the goons' life is probably a lot easier. Maybe they're not as stressed out about stuff. Maybe there's more goons too. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I do miss the easy access to the link and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if you had to make me choose, I'd choose the old venue still.
For sure, I would too.
Yeah,
I
but
think
Caesar's got scared of hackers. So
going to the link
web.
was fun. Circle bar and all that.
Yeah,
Good times.
Good stuff.
I never saw PepperCon.
Oh, I did. Hung out with them all night.
He's got pictures.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You showed me the new badge, and I said, "Help me find PepperCon." Then you yeah. Then you never.
You gotta stay out later. I don't know what to tell you.
Bro, I was out late Friday and Saturday until like 1 a.m.
It's not late.
Maybe 2 a.m. both days. That's late, dude. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. Well, thank you everyone for watching or listening. This has been our debrief of DEF CON episode. We will have a couple more episodes coming up where we have people like we've talked about in this episode specifically that we're going to have on as guests. So there's going to be a little bit more DEF CON content out there. Also check the blog for something really special. I'm not going to get into it here. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for listening. This is the Secure AF Podcast.
Bye.
Bye. The Secure AF Podcast is a production of Alias Cybersecurity. Visit us online at aliascybersecurity.com. All rights reserved.